Alright, I'm back in a dry suit for the first time in quite some time. A little winter pan fishing. I'm not dialed in at the bite one bit, with the bite, at the bite, whatever you want to call it, one bit. So I'm going to do some long drifts fishing southeastern North Carolina. If you're new to the channel, from those Florida Keys videos, which were absolutely wonderful this winter. I just got back to North Carolina about a week and a half ago. I haven't been fishing much, honestly, but I got off my butt today. Got the dry suit on. Let's see what we can find today. For me, March is a month for perch. It's a month for crappie. It's definitely a pan fishing month. Those are the consistent things. They're wet months, a lot of rain. Water temps are probably in the low 50s right now, so I don't expect the bite to be too hot. But maybe we get something going here. Just dropped this 132-ounce jig to the bottom here. Maybe we get a couple bites going. Yeah, we're going to see what we can find out here today. I don't know if this bite's really firing off just yet. It doesn't feel like it is. By the time I upload this video, I bet it will be. But who knows? When it comes to this sort of stuff, it's a lot of searching, covering ground. You don't know. Especially when you ain't, I did grow up with panfish, but I don't fish for crappie and white perch too often, once a month. But this year, we're changing it up this year. This year, I'm in my IDGAF years. They're becoming, Could do these long videos, get away from the algorithm stuff. If that's what we get to do, we will do that all the time. We gotta find some fish out here, though. Call this the Nothing's Biting trip so far. Crappie jig, no luck. Okay, what else can we try here? There we go. Small white perch. Not a big one at all. Man, he's cold. Water's still really cold then. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, nice fish. All right, let's start it. It took me a minute. I got the hard work out of the way. Oh no, I dropped him. I think that was perch or bass. Nice fish. Dang. Half-mile-hour drift. Pretty decent. Whoa, got a ton of fish here. Just went over a ton of fish. Not biting so well, though. Try one of these gulp swimming mullets. I'm getting some bites out there. They're small, though. Like, those are okay. I'm just tapping bottom very lightly. Don't work it aggressive wise. Really chill. Just chill. Small fish though. Small white perch so far. Go get it. Gotta figure out my groove for the day. It's got a 3-inch crappie magnet. I'm just casting it out. I mean, these bounces I'm doing are pretty subtle. These fish are cold coming off the bottom, so they ain't too hungry yet. Looks like they're slowly starting to feed for the day, though. Glad we're getting a couple bites, though. A lot of small ones so far, though. Okay. I think we got the groove. Hoping to get a couple keepers, right? That's obviously a nice thought I got in my head, but you never know. That might not be easily achieved. Sitting out here 9 feet. We've got steady marks coming through, but these fish are very lethargic. Like basically just tapping bottom very gently with this crappie jig. They're not showing signs that they want to come up to feed, really. Pretty much scrounging bottom. White perch will feed mid-water column bottom, but as you get into, being that this is still kind of winter, seems like everything's kind of just feeding off the bottom. Cool. See, they got those red bellies too, so yeah, they've been rubbing bottom all winter. Okay. Trying to find some 12s and 13s. This place is famous for some big white perch, so we'll find them. Not huge, but 12s, 13s, 14s aren't out of the question. Caught some fish close to 14 inches here, so let's settle in. All you need is I got my 4-pound braid from when I was in the Florida Keys. Just throw that crappie magnet just, I don't know, 10, 20 feet in front of me. The way I'm jigging it's really gentle, not aggressive at all. I think we should go to a little larger profile though. See the size of these fish we're catching on just the crappie magnet? So maybe if we go to like, I got this Gulp swimming mullet right here. Crappie magnet definitely had a lot of bites. Sometimes, yeah, bumping up that profile. These white perch can eat a 3-inch profile, no issues. 4-inch even. That's what we're gonna try now. See if that does anything better. That's a little bit of that silver bullet. What is it? What are these fish gonna eat? Well, that took a minute. It took me about an hour of experimentation of what kind of working too aggressive, also not working with the drift. Some of this stuff, it's all about the direction you're drifting can be really important too. Now I know next couple drifts I could do the exact same thing probably. Sometimes these white perch want retrieves. They'll be, actively feeding, and right now scrounging bottom. Seems like that's their mood. Who knows what else is in the mix with these guys too? Catfish, largemouth bass, crappie, bowfin, gar, all could be here in the plain, man. This is that same 4-pound test outfit I was using for. Seems like having a nicer paw's got a couple more bites pretty quickly though. But like a lot of things, you get them a little fired up, right? They're all excited and want to fight over this jig. Okay, they have white perch fish. So this size, these 10, 11 inchers, these are, pretty popular catfish bait, right? Is there a magic formula to catch only big ones? Yeah, I'm sure some guys who are really dialed in know how to do like a 4-inch bait probably, something like that. Also could be time of year, right? Like those bigger fish might not be ready to feed yet necessarily. Because right now it just got into, let's say, we're transitioning from winter to spring probably, so might be one of the first decent bites we're going to get. So, a nice long drift here. You know, I probably attracted. I'm bringing more fish in as they're fighting over these little paddle tails and curly tails. You know, white perch are like nuisance in lots of places, but on the coast they're native. A lot of people grow up with them, right? And they're pretty much on the whole coast, you know. A lot of places have those things. Here we go. Wonder if that fish I pulled was either a largemouth bass or it's not better, a little bit of a better one. We're getting a little higher up on the hierarchy here. Or maybe I foul hooked one. He was just not really swimming right. I think you know, kind of having dragging that whole school like in this zone here, so I don't have to cast far now probably. It's an 1/8 ounce jig head, 6 pound leader, 4 pound this finesse braid, and I probably clogged up. No, we're good. It's a very different type of fishing than the Keys. We're just drifting this big old flat. We're gonna do this whole drift till we either A, lose the fish, or B, wind changes, weather changes, who knows. But I think we're in a good spot for a nice afternoon here. A couple fish in the freezer is going to be really, really nice, but it might not happen today. Or it might. Depends. So my experience, the larger white perch do tend to be kind of lone wolfish. Not always. Sometimes they can be kind of on their own a bit. And those smaller ones do tend to be in the bigger schools. You know, it could be like a hump or a ledge. Who knows? But I think we figured out maybe a little zone. Do a few more drifts over. My fish finder's not working properly. Everyone's on iPhones and I'm fishing with an old flip phone basically. iPhone, I mean forward-facing sonar and stuff like that. But I don't know, it probably doesn't matter much for this sort of fishery. This is a war of attrition type of thing. Still sometimes default to gulp when the water's cold or just everything's kind of weird because it's still winter out here, man. It's getting nicer, but it's still kind of winter. And, you know, when there's fish actively feeding, you can do some different tricks, right? Right now, we don't have any of that. Right now, we got fish that are just hugging bottom. I would consider today, like let's say today the benchmark's going to be I'll say 13-inch fish, right? If I get like 4 or 5 13-inch plus white perch, that's a good day of perch fishing in North Carolina, in my opinion. You know, there's some big ones out there, though, don't get me wrong. But for the tourist like you, maybe me, I mean you, maybe you, and definitely me, a couple 13-inchers is wonderful. And these are getting to the size they're worth filleting almost. But see, white perch get into these I wouldn't say schools, into this situation that when they're really densely populated, they do start to stunt, right? And catching bigger ones gets tougher sometimes. Let's see, we got a little smudge there. Let's get that. I wonder if there's even pollen already on the lens. We got to do the crappie thing too. This was probably one of the nicer days to do some, you know, open water fishing because the crappie stuff is better in the windier days. So this is probably nice for today. I got a, you know, several mile 9-foot flat. I was actually marking fish pretty much the whole morning, but I think I was working these jigs too aggressively. I don't know. Seems like I got something going on now, a little bit of a rhythm. There's no flatheads. I mean, there's a couple flatheads, but I don't know about even no structure or any reason really for me to put a live one out there. You're probably watching like, why don't you fish a live one? No blue cats where I'm at. There's a couple flatheads and maybe a couple of these other native flat catfish like channel cats and white catfish are on the coast. But in terms of like the big stuff, nah. Let's just chill out and throw jigs. Hopefully get a few fish in the cooler. Those white perch taste pretty good. I think they're better than striped bass, which are one of the more popular food fish sometimes. Oh, we stopped getting bites. There's definitely a school of them then, I guess. They kind of just moved off on me. But I'll give it another minute, see if some more show up. Seem to like that gulp curly tail there for a second. All right. Just power on my kayak. See if we can find a few more somewhere here. It's a pretty decent drift. Probably shift over just a little bit for the next drift. I'm seeing a few new fish again though. Stripers, white perch, a lot of this, like in the spring, it's like finding the flat and the right depth where there's, I think that the hard thing is you find a lot of fish often, but you don't find active fish often, especially early spring where everything's still a little wacky sometimes. So right now we just did a nice long drift. I think I'm out of some fish. There could be more somewhere here, but you know what? That was a good sized school of fish. I think that the better move here is to get right back on those guys and get going. Okay, and that's a 3-inch gulp swimming mullet, 1/8-ounce jig head. We got out on the water. I spent an hour looking around, not finding much, and then just got some fish. And we're going to do our second long drift out here. We're doing some panfish, right? It's kind of spring, almost spring. We're definitely in that transition mode. And yeah, I'm looking for fish I could keep, which ain't much these days, but speckled trout in North Carolina is closed, and so is flounder. You got drum and stuff, but man, it's peaceful to do this when, all that. I wasn't sure where the bite was, how many fish, there's so many things I don't know right now. I'm not like dialed in very well. So just throwing a couple jigs out here. Seeing what happens is always a good time. A lot of these fish, sometimes it always feels like the best move is to just get them really fired up so they start fighting over these things, right? And maybe you get lucky and you find a bigger one in the pack. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen here. Well, that's not him, but getting them fighting is always a good thing. Fired up is the concept I like to use, right? That's what you hear. You get them fired up, right? And we're just fishing for these little perch, but same deal. We'll get them fired up and biting pretty good. Imagine like 8 fish fighting over that little jig. Only 1 or 2 are of decent size out of 100, right? It's like those mangrove snappers, except now I just can't see them, right? I think we'll go to a little larger profile, man. Seems like there's a lot of fish here. Sure does. Sometimes, like, the males are the first ones to start biting, and the females, which might be bigger, you never know. There could be males that are large and females. Like, those bites don't start at the exact same time. Females could be sleeping still. We're out shallow in 5 feet. They might not all be schooling together and feeding just yet. Seems like that gulp swimming mullet's getting bites pretty good, though. But they don't want trolling. They didn't want straight retrieve. Really didn't want any aggressive movements either. Like I was working those jigs pretty aggressively for a minute, but now maybe things are going to change in a few. Maybe it's like a midday bite right Love this freaking Phoenix Maxim rod. It's so nice. Okay. Let's see. These are all like 11 inchers, you know. They're just, if you really want to sit with the knife, probably worth it, but I'd rather just get a few fish that I'm happy with and go home. Don't need too many fish. That's a 1/8 ounce Strike King jig head and a 4-inch not Mr. Krabby, 3-inch gulp swimming mullet. Got that hot pink tail on there. I think my drift is straight north to south. And it's like 50, 52 out, and I'm guessing water's in that range too. Maybe it's like 52, 53, but it might be closer to 49, 48, somewhere around there. Definitely want some good sized schools of fish to do this though. Alright, so now I'm using my old 2D ancient technology to possibly just run over another pack of fish somewhere here. That's really all this is going to be. Running over a couple fish, scattered here and there. Just casting around. Hopefully they're going to stay active and keep up with them after I locate some good sized pockets of them. Not relying on my fish finder too much, but like I said, it's what the presentation is. Not under the kayak, not too far. It's like today has been a weird start, I'd say. For a fish that's usually relatively easy, I'd say white perch are generally, I wouldn't say, they're not really a harder fish to figure out usually, but you always hear people say, oh, this fish, XYZ fish is super stupid, right? I hate it when people say that, because you have that easy day where they're biting like nonstop, right? Then you get the days where it's just like, I can't get a bite from them. Like, oh, they're not so stupid now, but you know, almost every fish out there will give you that day where it just doesn't make sense that they don't want to bite. So, and sure, some days like bluefish, for example, are just easier, right? The tide's moving right, and it's water temp's right, they're going to eat. But anyway, what I'm just trying to say here is that overgeneralization of fish are a lot of types of fish are stupid. It's like, it'll drive you nuts. Don't believe it. Believe it with caution, rather. Okay, getting some small bites here. And, you know, going up to 3 inches, I'm not getting a lot of bites from those smaller fish. I wonder if you go like a 4.5, 5 maybe, that might be the answer here. All right, come on. White perch is one of the fish I grew up on, so it's got a soft spot in my heart. And I'm not, you know, not really YouTube, what should I say, algorithm fishing here, right? I'm hoping those days are over for me. Hope we can go out fishing, and, you know, thing is, like, algorithm fishing ain't fun. It's designed to appeal like it's fun, but, you know, to me, catching the little dinky fish, 4-pound test, this is fun. Not the algorithm, man. The algorithm can stay with the algorithm fishing. If this stays, and I could make 4-hour videos that get 10,000 views, be a happy guy until it's time to sail into the sunset. Chasing that algorithm into your late 30s sucks. I don't want to do it, man. I just want to throw a little jig on a nice March day without a person around me, and hopefully catch something I could eat, right? That's always nice. Not too many guarantees on that all the time, and I get that. But I'm also just not too familiar with where I'm at and a little bit what I'm fishing for. Here we go. I think we're getting a little better size occasionally here. All right, let me just see, get an idea. I'm looking for 12-inch plus for the most part, but let's see. If you're curious what I'm throwing back, you know, before putting in the fry. These are only 11s, okay. Not very large at all. They're aggressive then. If they're eating these, you know, little gulp swimming mullets, that means they want to eat. Okay, we'll find some good ones though. I promise we're going to find some 13s and 14s. They're coming somewhere here. Could be crappy if they're sitting under my kayak like this too, right? Haven't seen too many crappie yet. I know they've been around a little. They've been starting to bite a little bit too. I don't know about the crappie being out here suspended deep still this time of year. That's kind of like a fall thing, especially in the Carolinas. They go pretty shallow pretty quick sometimes. Okay, getting some small bites here. Yeah, I want to stop hooking these little guys like this. I'm gonna go into a 4-inch bait, I think. 3-inch mullet's good, but I think it's these ain't mangrove snappers, right? These guys can eat some pretty big baits. I'm getting the feeling. Maybe something of this size seems excessive, right? But this might be the way. Should back some heavier shads and bigger lures then. It's a 4-inch gulp minnow. That's a big one. We'll see. Let's see. How big are these perch going to eat? They're going to eat 4-inch baits like that? This one probably is not going to move very smoothly, though. I think it's going to be kind of a clunky profile, but, I think a 14-inch one will eat it. I think they're nipping at the tail, though. Still getting bites, don't get me wrong. Just not as many. They don't feel very big. Might be a good thing then. It might just tell me there's not that many ones of size here. You get these fish sitting on it, just probably piling on it with their lips, trying to eat it. I mean, stripers are notorious, how should I say, eating profiles that are far too large for their, they have no business eating one that big. Okay, I'm just cruising now. Looking for another patch of fish. Got a 4-inch minnow. That might be a little big. We'll see though. I don't know how much roaming of, perch do move a lot. I just do a lot of other fish, but it's hard to say if they're really roaming just a little bit. Who knows? All right, we got fish here. Using that 4-inch gulp minnow though. We'll see if it's too big. It's going to get us a nice fish though. If it's going to get us anything, I think we'll like what we end up seeing on it. I remember to work this slowly. That's a bad habit I have of overly working my jigs a little too aggressively sometimes. Definitely my bad habit category. I dropped it. Dang it. It's about having the angle. It's whatever did, scope. That's what it's all about here. Not much else. Here we go. That's it. Figured it out. That angle. It's a 4-inch one. Here we go. Getting a little better. Getting close. Worthy to, I think we're getting into the worthy category maybe. It's still under 12. Really get fat in this area. Crazy, they'll eat some pretty big profiles. It's probably the biggest one of the day so far though, just now. It wasn't very big, but I don't want to eat too close to the kayak though. They are a little spooky on that end. Definitely want a little distance from you. Not too much distance, somewhere there. Wonder if it's like a little bit of a genuine curiosity to get around the kayak, but not to like feed at it because maybe it's danger, right? It's hard to feel these bites too of the 1/8 ounce jig. Oh, man. Isn't that wild? Makes you think the size of your lure doesn't matter at all, honestly. In terms of culling, right? If you're looking for, what I'm doing is looking for a larger fish, and no, I don't think so. I think maybe it might eventually, but I think that, I'm almost convinced it's the plop, right? When you throw these little jigs out there, there's a certain plop when they hit the water. I'm also kind of convinced that has a lot to do with getting a bite or not, too. If that plop attracts some fish, it sounds like a bait fish up top, probably. That one's almost worth keeping, right? Got him in the shadows, of course, but yeah, he's almost there. Maybe I should have kept him. Thinking about it immediately, I'm just gonna cruise down this edge here until I'm, into the next fishy zone. I think there's kind of fish everywhere here, probably. It's just where the sizable ones. Like I said, there is a little bit of a weird bite to everything so far. It's not really contour related. I don't think it is. Maybe it is. It doesn't feel like it is. Wild how small of a bait these guys are going to eat, though. If they hear that plop, they're coming pretty quickly. Yeah, let's retire this guy. I hate it when that happens. At least for this jig head, right? Try a curly tail again, see if that's better. I was getting a lot of bites, but I think there's just tons of little guys for this thing. One thing I'm not liking about that curly tail, though, we went right back to some smaller ones pretty much immediately, huh? Let's take that off. All right, let's try that strategy, man. We're going to find some big ones doing this. Yeah, I already know I don't want anything to do with that guy. So I think I'm getting them active now, so I don't have to rely on, like, marking fish. But it's like what's going to get what bite? And right now, that definitely the swim mullet, the minute it's hitting the water right now, there's fish kind of zipping over to it. So I think there are some active fish out here. But they ain't very big. All right, you got it. Let them eat it. Okay. Picture like a 5-inch zoom fluke would work pretty good too. Even. I'm almost convinced that might work really well. Let's keep it in that 4-inch range. I feel like that's going to get at least the better perch or two. I'm amazed. Ain't that amazing how small of a bait these fish will eat? Big of a bait. He could try to swallow it. Yeah, that's true. In his head, he's going to get real big and strong eating a bait that size. There we go. A little better one. Getting close to frying size, I think, right? We're getting there. We're getting to 12s at least. Yeah, 12s are pretty good. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, I'll keep some 12 inches. I feel like 12 is definitely the benchmark. That's worth the fillet at least. So, just in case there really ends up being hard to find some 13s and 14s. Some days that's a little harder than others, right? Like lots of things. It's kind of hard to figure out where you're at, you know. I mean, where they're at some days. So, we're catching fish. Let's get some 12s in there. That's fine. Right, going to that 4-inch bait might be the move for the rest of the day. We'll see. It's just a chill day, man. Today is all about, man, getting that right angle. We're not talking geometry. We're talking about angle of the drift and how to work the bait with the drift. Everything else, yeah. We definitely had some smaller fish early. And it's like not really working. It's just like nudging along the bottom. You know, every area, you know, they could be feeding on shrimp and worms. Who knows? The angle changed now. It's not tide, obviously, but I don't know if the wind came up a little bit. Now I'm like drifting just not quite the same way. So stop getting bites. I was getting bites every cast. Now I'm getting bites again. Yeah. Can't fish that way. Got to really be getting that right. I guess that natural movement, whatever that natural movement might be. So crazy. Definitely feels like I'm spending forever trying to learn to bite. It's really what it feels like to me. Almost feels like these fish are just kind of slurping off the bottom, like they're probably not even coming up to eat. WPs. That term is white perch. I almost wonder if it's like my trail from the rudder kind of gives a little swirl, right? And the fish get curious from that. It's funny is they don't show up in the sonar until I guess they get active. They must be just sitting. You know, I noticed that like for striped bass for years. It's like we would just sit on the bottom like blobs, not do anything. And you know, I'm sure with the newer sonars you can pick them up even when they're not active. But sometimes it's like, yeah. Now I'm seeing fish kind of everywhere, right? Doesn't mean they're biting like that, all that well. Occasionally I'm still getting bites for sure. You can use like a blade bait or croc spoon, but you know, the trebles, I find like sometimes just the plastic does get like some of the best culling for larger fish. Or you know, it could be just setting up this nice long drift. Like these fish just don't want to bite until you're really getting that sand stirred up too. Here, there's a little bit of growth, but it's, you know, it's mostly like sand and hard bottom. but it is a little bit featureless out here. I mean, doesn't mean there isn't feature. There is definitely a couple spots with some feature, but it's not like you're fishing a really sharp drop off or something like that. There we go. These fish need like a little convincing. Like one little guy comes down, and then a larger one shows up. It's typically how that hierarchy can go. Striped bass are just like this too, right? They get weird and want you to tap bottom a lot, especially in the spring. They'll get that weird mood. They're really feeding off the bottom, digging up worms and little shrimp and crustaceans. So let's find some new fish, guys. We got a couple. We got one in the box. Not really crazy about it though. Oh man, this is so much fun. They're just like. They're definitely a fish that's very aggressive for its size. It's unlike those mangrove snappers that are just like the most cautious dudes out there. These fish, these ones are aggressive. They want to eat more than they can handle. The amount of times I used to see like striped bass striped bass especially floating around because they ate something too big. It would happen a lot with flounder. Like they'd eat a fluke or flounder that's too large for their size and just find them floating because they choke themselves to death. We're definitely going for the less action route right now, right? We're trying to get a couple bigger fish doing the bigger profile stuff, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. There's definitely, these fish seem to be getting pretty active. They're getting curious. Wherever I'm casting, they're kind of showing up pretty quickly. So we'll see. Maybe this spite's going to continue through 2-3 o'clock. We'll see. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's a bass, isn't it? That's a white perch. He's big. Oh, he swung. Fatty. He's not as big as I thought, man. Get pumped easy, huh? It's funny. Just based on the tackle you're fishing, you don't know what's going to show up. My biggest white perch is only about 15 inches. Where I grew up, there was like some, 17, 18-inch ones. Really big. Not easy to come by, though, don't get me wrong, but they're usually very rarely like solo. It's like one or two. But like most fish, as soon as they get larger and larger and larger, they start to like reduce the amount of fish they're traveling with. Like, so the largest white perch here, probably going to be in like a group of 2 or 3, right? Maybe even one, like the real mega one. And then you'll get like the next largest size class will be probably in the next a little bit larger group, but still not very large. And then you get into the schools of 100 little guys shortly after, right? That's kind of how the fish hierarchies usually end up going for a lot of stuff. So like, for example, let's say there is a 2.5 pound white perch here. That's probably going to be really hard to find, and he's probably just like 1 or 2. Something you might not ever stop on because you're just like, oh, that's not enough fish to stop on. It's definitely a dumb luck kind of catch even sometimes. Right now I'm like looking for a little bit of life on the sonar scatter, right? That's really the main strategy for all of this, right? I don't want to be fishing in the Dead Sea, but now that I got a little confidence, I'm a little bit more confident in just blind casting, right? And I think I've figured out the bite for the day. Just slow tapping bottom. Make a cast. Seems like having that cast, hit the water, jigs sink down, that noise probably from that quick splash. Hopefully brings in a little, I guess, a rush of fish or a small group of fish pretty quick off the back. Oh, we had a bite there. 9 feet. It's all 9 feet. 8.5, 9 feet is really what we've been working so far. But, like a lot of things too, you work a zone, you could probably just keep drifting it, but it never hurts to just show up to a little bit of a different area, get a fresh cast or 2 in, then see who shows up right away. The rivers is a totally different game. When there's current and stuff, sides, bait, there can be hard to find. And ooh, missed him. Got a little more aggressive there, huh? I mean, at least my cadence was a little more aggressive, rather. Getting some small bites here again. These feel like smaller fish. It's good to see developing all the little nuances for what 90% of the anglers out there use for bait. Here I am, try to make a meal out of them and have a good time doing it. Whoa, had a bite the minute I hit bottom there. I'm gonna try like kind of like this rapid tapping action now, and just see if this cadence. This works really well for flounder. I'm just hitting bottom pretty aggressively like this. They seem to like a little bit of a pause in between though. This time. There we go. Oh, that sucked. I think that was a good one. Oh, that was a better one. Right, really just looking, I don't know. If I see anything, I'm going to stop pretty much like that. Not much, but whatever. I don't think I need too much out here. Just really moving along. Just kind of fish scattered everywhere. Is there going to be a big one? Who knows? Sure are taking their time to come and eat, though. Oh, largemouth. Yeah, there should be a bunch of those here too, kind of floating around, right? I don't know about any big ones. This doesn't really have structure, but it's got, in this zone, but it's got bait and some shoaly stuff. It's where that forward-facing sonar would help a lot, you know. Probably differentiate stuff a lot easier. More bass. Might have to save this spot if it's another bass. That means there's something here that is attracting these largemouth, even if they're not big. Another day, that might be pretty useful. Oh, it's a white perch. Let's see. The Elias board. He's 11 and a half. Pretty chunky though, man. Size ain't bad. It's not too bad. Going to this bigger 4-inch gulp though, I think seems to be a solid move. It's always interesting to see like different types of fish schooling together. You don't really picture largemouth and white perch together too often, but there they are. Start tearing through them. See these Mr. Crab, it's not like you got to throw these out. You just got to use a different jig head for the future. I found these 4-inch gulp minnows on Amazon for about $2.50 last month, so you know I stocked up on them. I love that. These 4-inch minnows, they're good. All right, just keep moving. Kind of like just, yeah. Sure, there's a lot of secrets here, but the secrets are sometimes just how to work a bait, right? Based on the conditions. I'm not, professional anything. I'm just, you do it the wrong way today, you're going to get skunked. That's really all I feel like too right now. Probably use a 16th ounce too, but it seems like the 1/8 ounce is doing just fine. Some smaller bites are moving through now, yeah. I just noticed that. I know there's other fish here like white perch, no, yellow perch, and probably like some brim and sunfish, stuff like that. So start getting those, you might have to move, I guess, too. It gets hard to differentiate if it's a big fish or little fish. Love this stuff though, man. It's funny, like to me this is fun. Translate terribly to video fun. But if you've never done this and you're trying to figure it out, it's a little challenging too. Today's not that easy. It's like I'll find a patch of fish, but then I'm sitting on fish under my kayak here. These could be yellow perch, something different. They ain't biting very well. Did it change of depth? I don't know. Sonar's loaded. Or is it just I'm now hit like acres of smaller fish? I mean, the majority of the fish are going to be smaller than even what I'm catching, right? They feel like they're smaller, some of these bites. Maybe I should go back into... And I'm coming up a little shallower. What am I, 9 feet? I was in 9.5 for a bit. It definitely seems like there was an orientation to just kind of those deeper... I mean, it could be fish everywhere though, you know, as I'm cruising back through around. You can pick it up. I'm going to just dip down a little further along that contour, see if anything else is different. That might be a 16th ounce jig head and not an 1/8. I'm not too sure. Yeah, that's a 4-inch gulp minnow. It's not the fanciest of the gulp minnow family, but I hope it's enough to get it. It seems like it's getting it done to some degree. Ooh, that was a heartbreaker, potentially. I think there's like bowfin and gar here too. I don't know if they're here in this zone necessarily, but I know they're all around too. I felt like a very nice fish. Marking some fish here. Some of these look pretty nice. I don't know, on my sonar it's like literally it's a green means small fish and red means maybe it's something bigger. Something dense enough. Notice not reeling up any slack is good. It seems like that works a little better. Maybe the fish don't lose interest or get quite as spooked either. This could be in my head though. Gonna get a big one here. Watch. Gonna do it. I can do it. Feel it. Just trying to find the. There's like It's definitely a depth related thing. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Just having a little bit of change of depth. Right now I'm dropping deeper, slowly, very slowly, but I am. But not like the deep. It's always that. It's all about that slope. Those slopes, man. So what I'm wearing today, this is a dry suit, right? I think these are pretty essential for that winter fishing sometimes, man. When the water's in those 50s, low 50s, man, you don't want to mess around too much. Definitely feel a lot more comfortable being out here. If I end up in the drink, I'm not in trouble within my first 20 minutes, you know. I can make it back home. It's going to suck no matter what. You go in the water in the winter, you're going home. I mean, maybe you're real tough and you're going to make it throughout the day. But me, I know what's going to happen. You get wet, it sucks, but you'll go home okay. And that's what's important, right? A lot of these other alternative wader, and if you got to go, I mean, it depends too. If you're fishing 5 minutes from the car, you get, wet in a dry top, and I'm not trying to advocate that's the right way to, but like right here, I'm out a bit, right? This is a mile and change run to get to these big white perch flats. But what I'm trying to say is, I'll go home okay. Even if I end up in the water for 30 minutes, hopefully not. No reason to be in the water for 30 minutes, but say I do something really dumb and end up in the water, get back in the kayak, I'll go home in one piece today. It's actually pretty pleasant out. It's not, it's only in the low 50s, but it is pretty nice out. It seems like, man, the best strategy is just to pull up on a new group of fish every few minutes and, try to get that reaction strike. It seems like that's always going to be the case, no matter where you go in life. Maybe I shouldn't be going this fast. That was also an important final detail. Yeah, this ain't chasing down tarpon and jacks, right? It's gonna take me a while to get my brain back to that. These aren't just hyper aggressive fish for the most part. I'm going after for the next month, right? Subtles, keep it subtle. Wise, you'll do better. 9 feet of water, a bite there. Probably what happens too. Dummy me. Decided to go 5, the highest speed. You're pushing fish, right? You're sending them. They hear that fast speed. I mean, they're used to it to some degree, but still, it's calm out. There's not too many. There's no traffic. They're kind of in their groove, so you definitely spook them a little bit, no matter what people tell you. Yeah, see, going speed 5, that screwed it up. Maybe now they're going to settle back in a little. Wind changed direction a little bit. Now I'm pumping a little more east, I think. Feels like it's east now. Before I head straight north, now I'm going a little bit more to the east, okay? Is that a largemouth? That's a largemouth. That fish was over 8 pounds following up this white perch. That was 100% a fish over 8 pounds. That looked like a striper coming up to eat this white perch. Wow. That was jaw-droppingly big. That was probably the largest LMB I've seen in my life in person. Wow, that was cool. Makes sense. That's a great forage for really big bass. The ones that make it through the gauntlet. That fish was big. I'd actually be hooting and hollering if I caught that largemouth bass, man. Wow. That might be him. That might be a catfish too, actually, too. We haven't seen one of those yet. These deep holes seem to be waking up for the day. Do you think he came back to eat that? I should probably just mark this spot. I don't know if there's anything magical about it. The fact that we saw a largemouth over 8 pounds. I mean, okay, my internet goggles are on, obviously, but something really nice. This is a catfish. It's got to be. There's no way I actually ended up hooking that bass right after. Oh, goodness gracious, I did. I think this is the same one I saw. Wow. Wow. Good gracious. Good gracious. I think that's the same fish I saw fall and try to eat that white perch. 16th ounce jig head, 4 pound. Good gracious, that is the largest bass I've caught. He's sitting eating snacking on white perch. He's trying to be like me. My biggest bass is probably, I think 24? Just a bit under 24 rather. This one, yeah, man, wow. That's a big bass. That is a big bass. He's just about 24, a little bit under 24. But that head, gosh, yeah, man. Maybe he's not 8. I'm exaggerating. Definitely exaggerating a little bit. But I want to take a real quick shot of him. We don't have a live well to carry them around. Or scale, but might not be my biggest. And I know I'm not wearing my hat, so I'm gonna look goofy. That's the largest one of these I've caught in a long time. That fish came up to try to eat that white perch I had on there, so. All right, man. That's what I love, even that freshwater stuff, man. I like it. That's a really great fish. Big. Wow. Yeah, he's just under 24, so. He's probably over 5 pounds, right? I know internet goggles is the worst. I don't think 8. He could have been. All right, well, who knows? That's probably my heaviest one of those guys, I think. Can't believe we ended up hooking him, though. After seeing him come and try to gobble a white perch, he must have been hungry. All right. Yep. A 4-pound finesse braid, man. I'm all about it. Really enjoying that. You know, I hope you guys enjoy this because I'm really having a good time trying this. Hopefully learn. I don't want to be pushing fish. Right there. They hear that faster prop moving. I don't think there's any structure there, man. I think that fish was just roaming around. You know, it could be just a little bit of those grass mats and stuff like that down there. Second largemouth of the day, though. Yeah, I'm just saving that. Means there's probably a couple more there in the future then. Marking white perch all through here, so. I mean, that white perch it came up to try to eat was definitely over 10 inches. I'm more shocked that I ended up getting a second shot at that fish after seeing him come up to follow that jig. Missed him. That was a white perch, though. Looking for those bowfin too, right? I think I'm going to do the bowfin thing tomorrow. So, you know, there's options in the salt, but man, to keep a fish, right, speckled trout, you got to report them. There might be some black drum around and stuff like that, but I think for the most part, it's wild, right? Wasn't on my bingo card for the day. I thought that was going to be big catfish for sure. I'm supposed to yell a lot right after catching that fish. Woo! It's fun. It's a very large bass though, man. That Phoenix Maximum, I love the action this thing gives on these light jigs though. If you want that fast darting action. It's another largemouth, I think. Maybe it's a white perch though. I don't think there's stripers here. There are flathead cats though. Flathead cats can do some weird things in the colder months, man. They'll be up on open bottom out of nowhere. So, I think it's another largemouth. Maybe it's a crappie. What? Largemouth, yeah. It's another nice one though. Definitely not as monstrous as the first one. Dude, all right. That's not a decent largemouth. That's more your average size fish, 20 inch plus. Am I BFS fishing yet? I don't know enough about that term. I kind of giggle when I hear it, but bass finesse system, right? You read that online. I think that's bait caster though, not Dollar General live fishing combo there. What are we doing there? All right, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper from my first day back in North Carolina. Nothing giant. I'm actually, yeah, one nice giant. I was hoping to see some big white perch, but this is cool too. These fish are getting really active, huh? It started off so slow, I thought I was going to skunk out and go home. Hope we get a couple crappies, man. Oh no. They might be up shallow somewhere already. I think I got what I needed though out of my excitement of the day. Landing that fish on 4 pounds test with a 6 pound leader was definitely, I was clenching there, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, there's perch, I don't know. I don't think there was any structure there. I think it's just a zone of where fish were just moving around. That's settling in, all that. You know, that took a minute, I'm not gonna lie. That did just take a minute, that fish followed in a white perch, and then I caught it the subsequent cast. It was fired up. That doesn't happen very often. That being probably my largest, you know, if I had a scale, that could have been the largest bass I've ever caught. Because I haven't caught too many large, you know, I haven't cracked 10 pounds on a largemouth bass. I don't think I have. I have one or two fish very close to that. 4-inch gold minnow, man. Stock up, I guess. Like that 4-inch size. Wind's dropping out. I think we should warrant staying out here for the rest of the day. I was thinking about going home, but I think I gotta text the wife. I said, hey, I gotta say, uh-oh, bite's pretty good. Staying out. All right, let's find some new fish. We got a couple there. Cruise till something looks good. This is kind of just, you know, everyone's like, oh, you need a fish find. Man, this is like, I'm literally on everyone's playing, you know, Xbox and PlayStation. I'm playing Game Boy Black and White out here. Couple casts here. I don't even know what I'm looking for, honestly. I have no freaking clue. Fish, probably caught fish here probably 3 times in my life. One time everything broke down, so I've had mixed results in this place, so I got no idea what to tell you. Just fishing it like I do anything else. Squeeze around and cross my fingers enough. I think it just has to do with the fact things warmed up a little bit. What's your biggest largemouth bass, man? See, there's some current coming down, actually. Yeah, now that I'm really got a little slicker, it could have been that wind motion from earlier, but I could definitely see there's a little bit of movement in that category. I don't think I packed a bottle of water in my kayak today. I'm gonna regret that probably pretty soon. Yeah, no water. Oh, it's in the car. This is down here. Nah, it's in the car. I think that's a 16th ounce jig head. I looked in my box. So these are 16th ounce jig heads. I'm trying to find some more fish out here. So I'm going shallower here. I'm gonna stay out of the shallower stuff. 8.7, seems like being deeper was the move. But, gotta pay attention. As soon as it drops a little bit, I'm gonna start paying attention. I feel like that drop might be key. I'm the last person you should take any largemouth bass, any fishing advice. But if you have no idea how to catch fish and you want see somebody who goes everywhere and catches a little bit of something, then maybe I'm the channel for you. But I'm definitely not refined in any technique. I can't be, right? No, most YouTubers, unless they're super specialized, which isn't too many, are going to be putting in up some too much consistent stuff in that regard. All right, we're back into 9 feet plus. So this is a Humminbird Helix 5. It is a perfect just little fish finder with a GPS. It ain't going to show you, you know, what live scope will show you on a body of water like this. Probably live scope, you know, would help a lot, but you know, you ride around enough, you see a little bit of structure here and there, catch some fish, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, even something like white perch is bait, right? To a lot of fish, a lot of people too, right? You start seeing them showing up, yeah, something bigger is going to feed on them, right? That could have been a catfish back there, you know. Flatheads will even sit on mud sometimes over winter, especially before they get into their back to where they want to be for the spring. You know, channel cat, even, you know, 30-inch channel cat can gobble up one of these white perch too. So it's a lot of fish that could do it. But I think everything looks like there's a lot of movement, man. Because, man, I'm not seeing much right now. This area had a lot of fish earlier, I think. I'm gonna stop my kayak, man. I don't trust my fish finder even. Look at that stuff. I feel like it's might be deceiving me right now. Unless, you know, everything got real slick right now. Fish are moving somewhere else now. It's possible. I think the only thing that I noticed is, you know, just working the change of contour is really what's going to be. But it might be that kind of that heavy movement. Yeah, I haven't had a bite here. You're right. And it's not my sonar that's lying to me, I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't trust what I see here. Okay, now I'm seeing a couple little dimples on the bottom. Tempted to just blast into, yeah, let's just take a look at some new area. Go warp speed it, man. So this kayak's got speeds from, I'm just trying to get it over a new contour line. I haven't drifted yet, right? New fish, who knows? It's kind of like what we did there. But from, what is it? Up to about 4.5 miles an hour, maybe 5 is tops, you know, if I put my feet with it, but I don't want to overheat, right? I hit the point where now I underdress early in the morning. Wouldn't say underdressed, but early in the morning, it was definitely colder than this. And I got these crazy heated socks on. Let me turn these things off too. They're Bluetooth controlled, of course, just like everything. Let's turn them off. Oh man, yeah, everything's cooking. I don't know how to dress on days like this too. It's hard because it starts off cold, it slicks out, and then when it slicks out, it's kind of warm. So 10-15 degree temperature swing doesn't sound like much, right? But then after you get kind of, sorry, Perch, powerbombed them. Yeah, as soon as you get into it, like, So you might be saying, why don't you put that white perch out there for another largemouth? I think that was a fluke. I don't know if I can duplicate that. Who knows? Maybe I can. Yeah, and I got like a heavy wool hat back there. I wasn't sure if the water was going to be like really cold too still at this point in the season, like in the low, you know, mid 40s. There's a huge difference if the water temperatures are in the 50s, like what, because you know that you get that pushback from the water. Like you come back on a day when it's, you know, 32, 35 degrees out, but the water's still in the 60s and 70s. You'll be like, hey, this ain't that hot, cold out. But if the water is in the 40s, man, I'm telling you, you feel that. Okay. Let's taking off a lot of stuff. It's always easier to take off clothes than to add on clothes, though, at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? These fish are getting fired up. then the slick calm doom is coming. What's that mean? When it gets really calm, sometimes maybe this afternoon's going to hold on, but the bites can get harder and harder as the day goes on. I can't believe I'm the only one out fishing today. Only one who wants some white perch, though. Must be the broke kid in me. Yeah. White perch could be associated as kind of a poor man's fish, too. Hopefully next week I can start doing like the swim baits and a little bit more of the aggressive stuff. I'm hoping that's going to start now. Like those next bites are going to begin. Feels like it's going to happen. Today was the first colder day in a little while, but I had no wind, so I was like, all right, probably won't. These big lakes that are just kind of don't have much to hide from. You really want a nice day to fish them properly. Otherwise, they're kind of rough to fish on most days with a little bit of a breeze. So you associate, especially being on the coast, you associate doing freshwater when it's too rough to fish the salt. But some stuff's still fun, man. Probably had a better day today than I would in the salt, already. Even minus those largemouth bass. Okay, let's find some new fish then, guys. These should be some new fish that I haven't messed with yet. 9 feet. So I made a little move. Hopefully these guys want to cooperate pretty well. Yeah, these are some new fish. These look like white perch. Big school of them. I mean, could be largemouth. Who knows? We'll see. New fish, so let's cross our fingers. Not going to shut down immediately, too, now that I got kind of flat. Oh, not yet. Oh, missed that one, though. Put a new one of these on there. This one's definitely starting to slip down the shank, too. You know what? Let me try this freaking crazy shrimp. This thing was awesome in the Keys. Bet these fish eat all sorts of crustaceans here too. One of these crazy shrimps. Yeah, I think the smaller bait's getting way too many bites though already. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that bigger stuff then. I don't want to catch all the little dink perch. At least, a lot of the other fish were definitely quite a few borderlines, so 4 inch it's gonna be. Perch are well known to eat over their weight class, right? Winch them in. marking them anymore. That's okay. They're really just eating, getting really aggressive. They're eating big jigs this big. Now I got calm, I feel like going a little more aggressive is probably going to be the move now. Okay. A few bites that cast, but man, this is it. You know, there aren't too many YouTubers doing just like enjoyable days on the water like this anymore. It's definitely gotten into sick edit only category out there. I don't know, I think we'll see the slow decline of interest in, you know, YouTube fishing. Personality is always important, but I think going down the glory route kind of sucks. You know, if these long videos start failing completely, I think I'm done. I'm honestly just not enjoying it anymore. I'm enjoying fishing, but content, I don't love going out there knowing I have to compete to make a sick edit or do something sick. I really just want to get out here and do this kind of stuff all the time now. Like, after getting a taste of it again for the first time in a while, I'm like, man, very enjoyable. What's not enjoyable? Fighting with boats, trying to, you know, the rat race part of it wore me down pretty quick. You know, I used to, you know, it's still fun, but when you get like that hint of success again, like just going fishing, you're like, man, I don't want to make content. I wanted to go fishing and film it, and if I could tell my story, perfect. I don't want no rat race stuff, man. I know I sound like I'm kind of spoiled and privileged, a little combo there, but before you know it, it becomes a job. It's kind of sad, right? It's not supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be enjoyment for everyone, and yeah, you don't want to be the guy. You're only fishing for clicks, right? You want the least amount of that possible in life. That's a perch. That's an awesome one. Oh, it is. Yeah. Oh, we're getting up there today, boy. Oh, yeah. That's an awesome one. Look at that white perch right there. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, man. That's a nice one. Nice white perch, dude. What a nerd I am. I'm getting excited about my white perch and bass. All right, we got a 24, let's call them a 23.5-inch largemouth for the day. Oh man, these ones get, you know, they're pretty broad-shouldered around here. Because that fish is just, you know, 12.5. He's not even 13. We're gonna keep him. He's got enough meat on him. These white perch are, put them in the freezer. A few of them. Do some crappie fishing next week too. Fortunately, those guys are gonna get cooked, right? Fried, or definitely a few ways you can cook them. They are good though, but yeah, no more ceviche and sashimi, none of that stuff. Not with these fish. 14-inch are pretty big for here, man. I've only caught a couple of perch that big in North Carolina, but you know, these fish do get pretty plump from their food source here. I think they got a pretty good food source around here. I think there's some kind of minnows, endemic minnows, shrimp. So their food source is pretty good. I don't think they live as long as the white perch up north, probably, is my guess. So the white perch up north, I think they say they can live up to 20 years. I'd be surprised if the white perch in North Carolina really live over 10 years very often. Like 10 to 12 years. It's my guess where they'd... how long and how big. You know, seeing all those mangrove snappers in the Keys too. What that taught me too is just how the hierarchy of fish coming to eat works a lot of the time. At least with lures, right? The biggest one's gonna, of the batch, is gonna come and eat first. Then you'll get the other ones coming down the pipeline, right? Not always though, it's not always the case, but a lot of times, biggest one comes first, gets his shot, next one after. Boy, oh boy. I'm loving this little setup, man. Phoenix, can you sponsor me? I think it's one of the first rod companies that have like these. It's like an awesome little setup for this stuff. No, I don't need a rod sponsor, but you know what I'm saying? I really like that. Now, for 130 bucks, what a feel this setup has. I mean, the reel is 100 bucks, but Phoenix rod is 130. The Daiwa Fuego's just a little bit over 100. Got this 4-pound finesse braid. It hasn't failed one bit, or even showed any signs that it wants to fail today. Some nice looking fish down here, I think. Missed a bunch of bites here. I'm definitely working this more aggressively now that it got pretty nice out, though. Fish are tough. A lot of them really eating the quick pops, and then we'll see if we get another nice one out of this batch. Oh, they're definitely moving around a little bit though, huh? So now I'm making a couple more casts into that same zone. Didn't have a tap. So they're definitely circling and hunting a little bit. I don't know if they're following contour or following some bait. It's a really interesting question though. Probably following contour right now. Getting ready to start chomping on more bait. I feel like the fish get a little bit more spooky now that it gets calm too. Like my movements in the water with the kayak start to push more water a little bit. I don't know, could be overthinking it. They are white perch. Thinking everything is as sophisticated as catching snappers on lures. There we go. Oh, I lost that one. That one felt like a nice fish. Look at us. So interesting to try to find fish where there's no structure really. It's very pelagic-y, right? That's what I would say. It's like looking for fish anywhere you look for pelagic fish. Look for bait. Maybe there is a small zone. There's a few small zones here. Definitely it's not worth obsessing over much though. Any bites here? No. Wow. Oh. Slowing it down again a little bit, I guess. It's crazy how small. I wonder if they just jump on the hook point. Like, I don't. My brain sometimes can't wrap around how a fish that big is going to try to eat a bait that big. I mean, they must see the hook point and just maybe there's like a shine on it. And they're like, I'm going to eat the hook point. When you hook, and it's not like you foul hook them or, I don't know, who knows, man. Good thing I turned off those heated socks. Whew. You could just make a blind cast though. Like if there's like one fish and then like 15 more seem to show up. But I think most of them do end up being on the smaller side, right? Gotta remember not overwork it, right? We had all our luck, working everything pretty slow, pretty easy. All those details, right? The only reason to even work a larger bait is there's so much small stuff here, right? Make it the 4-inch one probably best choice only for that reason. These guys don't have teeth. Pretty hardy too. No wind at all now. I'm sure that south wind's gonna rip for the evening, but right now, not a drop of it. Not sure if these fish are going to shut down with these slick conditions though. I'm kind of thinking it's going to happen any minute now. I want to eat it on the bottom too, which is interesting. I just took it up like a foot up. There you go. Yeah, a couple. I feel like the one a little too hard to get them to eat vertically right now, I think. Body water's pretty clean for the most part. It's always nice when you know you're not in a kind of like a fishing in somewhere where you shouldn't be keeping the fish. It's one of the better places we have around here, water quality wise for sure. Right, I'm near that spot where I hooked that bass already, so I'm probably gonna do a long drift around that area though. There's definitely something special there. Barely moving that jig though. The more you move it, the worse the bite is, it seems like. You know, what's on the end of your line? Definitely shrinks the more you're moving that jig. It's got a scar. Try to eat them. No snakeheads here. Maybe some pickerel. I don't know if pickerel are super common here. But bowfin, yeah, I don't know if they'd be out here in no man's land this time of year. Maybe. Nearly every cast right now. Stomach's growling, getting hungry. Thinking about these white perch out here. I do like crappies better than white perch, table fare, but they're, I mean, I wouldn't turn my nose at either one, but it's close for sure. A nicer one there. Yeah, hook's sliding down the shank there. Not a big fan of that part when that starts happening, but can't really do much about it right now. These things are beaten up over for this free. Ooh, there's some nice fish here. Like some bigger marks to me. Maybe 5-inch baits are the way to go. When it gets like this, you know, I feel like 4 might be too small even. Isn't that crazy to think about? 5 might be the way. Dropped them. Happy I dropped them. They're not dumb though. Like they want the bait moving. It's not like they're eating it, you know, not moving it at all. They definitely want this bait moving at least. It's not like they're eating just rocks off the bottom. So, you know, a lot of people assume just a lot of these fish are really dumb. These are fired up now, right? Earlier they were definitely not. Uh-oh. South wind already? hoping it was going to hold on for a little longer. No, they don't want to hit under the kayak, man. Got that one twisted up too, okay. So next one we got here. I don't think I'm going to go off this 4-inch minnow for the rest of the day, though. And that one's got a hole in it too. No hole in this one. The only problem with these 16th-ounce jig heads, yeah, they don't got a great barb to grab these gulp minnows, really. There's a really aggressive fish around here, then. Like some of these do look a little larger on my sonar. It's hard to tell. Without the fancy stuff, you really just are kind of guessing. Trying to like lift just to see if it's like small. So like you notice my hook sets are a little weird. It's because I'm trying to like push off some of these really small fish, I think. That's what I'm, in my head, what I'm doing at least. About a 4.5-inch paddle tail would probably do well. Like a big Kayak, even one of my shads might work. Maybe I gotta try like the tough tugger out here, see how that works. You know, might be a little too big. I don't know. 14 inches should be able to eat it. I mean, the way these fish are acting, maybe that tough tugger is gonna be the one. So many fish hitting this thing now. I feel like everything got too aggressive now. Gotta get away from these guys, man. Must be hundreds of them. Hundreds and hundreds is my guess. Got so many bites. Good fish. I think. A lot of weight when I went to lift the rod into him. Quite. Gotta figure out the secret for these bigger ones though. This one swallowed it pretty deep. Not crazy deep, but deep enough. I need the pliers, right? They're all rusted out too, obviously. There we go, got it. I don't know, man. My appreciation of gulp has gone up since the keys. I use gulp a lot, man, but sometimes it's just... I'm going to back all of these statements off as soon as summer comes around, because what happens in the summer is gulp is just really just attracts too much life, right? That's the downfall. Gulp catches everything, but also gulp, unfortunately, catches everything. Like it or not. It's about the zone I had that largemouth. Not quite, but it's definitely a little bit more water moving though. Right now it's like it's gonna get hard right now. It's gonna get pretty tough. I wonder, I'm gonna just leave that on the bottom, see if it gets, you know, kind of like that Ned rig stuff. Those guys leave that stuff, they don't even move it. Let me see if these bigger white perch respond to that. Right? No, it seems like they want it moving. I was just kind of curious, like what happens if I really just pause it on the bottom there? It's one of these, you know, or one of these 14-inch white perch that just don't move much. And I come and scoop it up. Not this time. Not this time. Because, you know, I wonder what, like, you know, what's a good size bait to use for here? Like a 4-inch bluegill, like, you know, just big enough that hard for a lot of these smaller perch to eat. Small eels, maybe. There's probably some interesting live bait options you can use for this. Grass shrimp's a popular white perch bait, but grass shrimp will definitely hook all the small ones too. Like it or not. No perch there, so I'm making a couple blind casts. Definitely patrolling something here. I think it was just a rise, honestly, where I caught that bigger bass. Not much else. Doesn't look like it on my sonar. It's definitely some like deserty areas though, like where there's no contour. This is definitely just a deep hole. I mean, a hole with not much going on, rather. Don't sit in the deepest parts. They kind of just, everything just always kind of cruises those edges, and then it gets Or even worse, is there no fish left here? I'm not marking much now. Wow, really eye-opening stuff. No nest, no, it's not like a largemouth bass nest there. Literally, I think fish just following those white perch, eating them, jump, 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 chomping them down. As I'm cruising back over through where I caught that bass now, you know, what has it been, about an hour? Just seeing if what's there now, rather. Ain't much. Ain't any fish. I think those fish were just following white perch. That's it. Makes some sense. Some white perch here. I think one of the more important things I'm noticing is too, I should never really look to mark too many fish sometimes too. I feel like no one else is out here today. Got him. Oh, that was a good fish. Oh man, you can even see the swirl from him. Some nice fish, whatever that was. That little hook is kind of not the most reliable, but I think it'll get the job done most of the time. Schools and schools of perch. Uh-oh. These little tiny guys get a little weird sometimes, right? Absurd. Absurd. That's so absurd. Not as small mouths as you think, huh? Just assume. It's head scratchers, right? Foul hooked? Could be. Nice. A little bit better. Nothing over 13, though. We're looking for him. He's out here. See if we get any other ideas here. Fish are shrinking as the day's going on. Not sure. This looks weird. Just 1,000 small guys here? Could be. Looks like some kind of hydrilla here. Trying to find another batch of fish that aren't, all that small white perch now. Definitely I think I got drowned out in those little guys and spent too much time there. Do have 2 fish for dinner, but falling short of our mental goal, I guess, for the minute, which is okay. But clock is running out, right? It's 4 o'clock. Got another hour maybe. I'm sure there's going to be a south wind kick up out of nowhere too at some point here. Especially as that sun gets a little bit lower. But anyway, let's see. Through that little 3-inch gulp swim mullet, see what happens. Everything's still kind of wintry, huh? It's going to change any day now, though. I'm back on the 3-inch swim mullet here. I do want to see a sign of life I think I've fished here before. Got 1 or 2 marks, so I don't know if I've caught anything here. Maybe. Bar is low sometimes, Water's cold down there, man. All those fish are pretty darn frigid coming up. Not marking much, though. It's just an occasional little blip. Seeing some new fish is always nice, though, when you're kind of cruising around and it's like, oh, new body of fish. These are looking pretty small for the most part, though, whatever these are. Yeah, sometimes it's not that interesting, right? You're just riding around and hoping. Big place to, scout out and find white perch everywhere, though. A lot of holes for them, right? Feeling it now. It's getting warm. Yeah, we're here. It's no longer winter. Afternoon sun is strong now. Those birds are going to be working any day now. Fish up top, etc. It's coming. Oh, there's something up top there. Just ran over his head. Gar, carp, who knows? I was hoping there would be some fish here. Doesn't look like it. We on 3 bass for the day? It's not terrible. I mean, 3 bass, dozen white perch. A couple of the other ones might have been worth keeping, some of those other 12-inch ones, but that's all right. Lose an hour. We got 1 hour left. Let's try to find some. Let's do this a little aggressively now, because either the south wind's going to kick up or we're going to lose light soon. So let's try to find some good-looking marks aggressively. Let's stop on these, man. Some of these might be decent. Curly tail ain't getting bit for squat now. 1 or 2 boats zipping around. Come on. You're looking for it and you're hoping that last hour is going to catch something special. We did get our special fish for the day, though. Working through this big flat here. I don't know this area well enough to say what the next play is, man. I'm just feeling it all out for the first time. Hopefully catch a couple more, nice perch here in the coming weeks and stuff like that. You need nice weather, though. But it's okay. I think we figured it out a little bit. I know these are all areas that probably haven't fished yet, so gonna try to find some new stuff and then maybe make 1 or 2 last stops somewhere where it looks like there's a lot of fish. Oh, it's come back out of the north, thank goodness. I'm super conditioned that a hard south comes up this time of year. Some better looking marks here somewhere. Those hard souths are in the spring when they come up, man. South, southeast, southwest. April, May, March, they're hard. They're pretty scary sometimes even. I'm seeing a lot of life here. Let's see what this stuff is. All right, here it go. I'm looking for that evening bite. I looked a little shallower, man. I didn't see much. I'm just not gonna. Today's not the day. I had a rhythm to keeper white perch for me, rather. By standards. I feel like that was a big fish. I don't know if these are gar sitting on the surface, coming up to sun, or those are carp. Something. I don't think those are white perch swirling like that. Cruising over their heads. They gotta be gar or carp. Probably carp. I wonder how much carp is actually in this lake. That'd be fun. I never really got to carp fish much here in North Carolina yet to see how good or bad it is. It's one of those things I kind of like it. Anything big that pulls, I'm gonna like, man. Carp, light tackle. It's kind of a finesse game at times. This place does get pretty. These places do get pretty alligatory by June, though. Be floating around on a day like this. I guess the other fish I could always go after for March is shad, but shad can be kind of crowded. I mean, it's fun, but it can be definitely busy stuff. greenies and white perch are usually pretty chill, right? People wise. Not much here. It's kind of the trail, just following old trails from earlier, right? That's really all I'm gunning for here. These fish move a little bit more than I think I'm giving them credit for, because I'm pretty sure I was seeing quite a few more in some of these spots earlier. I mean, you could throw plugs and stuff, but I don't think plugs really... I always catch tiny little perch on plugs and Castmaster spoons. A lot of these marks could be gar, too. That's the other thing I didn't think about. Like, a mark can fish pretty steady throughout the day, but a lot of gar possible. I wonder the bait fish, right? Like, a lot of these small minnows and stuff. I wonder if they kind of just hatch out of nowhere. Or they're in the creek spawning right now, and then, you know, you get the birds working later in a week or two. What am I looking at here? These perch? I don't think so. Maybe they are. They ain't biting very good, whatever these are. I wonder if these are crappie, maybe. Try crappie magnet. It's a big school of something. Big school of fish under the kayak. Not really moving much. Wonder if these are crappie, maybe? Oh, missed it. Oh, these are the small ones are starting to show up now, like really small ones, right? These are tiny. Hoping those were going to be crappie. Just really sitting under the kayak kind of mysteriously. What's up with that? All right. Rod is blast, but yeah, these are too small. I feel like I'm trying to get too stealthy and I'm hooking everything right now. Next issue, you know, bumping into like, oh, let's throw this 132-ounce jig. There's crappie magnet on there. I'm sure there's a few crappies here somewhere, but at the same time, maybe, you know, this might not be the way. Yeah, I'm getting like bites now, but these are bad bites. These are what I would call these bad bites, rather. I would think there's no such thing as good, you know. This time of year, you would think they're all good bites, but yeah. That's the size you want for a big bass, right? Big bass would eat that in a second. Okay, take that off. You know, so a lot of the bites I'm missing are that fish, I think. So, okay. Live and learn. There ain't too many crappie here, probably. That's one thing. Let me see, we got any big profiles we can throw? We got Mackinaw with no heads. That's very good. We do have a Mackinaw shad. Yeah, we can try a Mackinaw. Little paddle tail, just sweep it a little more aggressively. This is the problem when you try to go white perch fishing, man. There's definitely a lot of arts and strategies, and you know, small is not going to be the option. Must be thousands of white perch out here, man. I mean, they do take over. Like, even the places they're native to, still a lot of them. Disliked for that reason, right? They'll take over a lake, especially if there's no predators or good forage for them. They'll take over pretty quick. Today's definitely a quantity day on these guys. Nah, no bite improvement on 32 ounce. 132 rather. Just curious if it would. It seems about the same. What's going on here? .3/16 was too heavy. Weren't getting any bites. 16th seemed to be the sweet spot. 32, I'm not seeing much going, improvement on much here. Uh-oh, that's the south wind. I just felt it. Let's run from it, guys. I ain't messing with it. It's coming. It's coming to eat my lunch right now. It's gonna come up hard. You don't mess with that thing. That's all I know. Not in these water temps. No, sir. Not in a place like this. Yeah, man. The wind kicks up hard right now. Pretty quick, too, I think, so. Well, I know that's not for everyone, but that's a nice bass. Gonna try to head it right now. Kept 2 white perch, right? Not terrible size, right? They aren't giants, and I've caught some bigger ones, but it seemed like the bite was definitely winter. A little wintry out there still, so sorry I got a little smudge there. Now I'm gonna get cold because the wind kicked up. So I wear a dry suit out here, right? Would recommend it, but I don't recommend anything anymore because everyone knows better than me. You see all the flaws in my... Damn it, I thought I got it. These days you get to see all the flaws in my system, right? Catching white perch and largemouths. Yeah, I don't know. Keys fishing was pretty good. Yeah, that was not bad, man. I don't know. I thought that was pretty decent. I would love to see a little more aggression out of it. I was a little hesitant to leave the first batch of fish I found, though. Maybe I should have. But by the time this video uploads, it's irrelevant because everything changes. That's one of the things that you got to keep in mind. If you watch these videos to try to chase down bites, bad idea. But lures, depths, if you're a state or two away from me right now, this is pretty good stuff to see because, you're probably going to be, if you're in Virginia or Maryland, I'm a week or two ahead of your fishery. That's really the smart way to look at it. You should be chasing. The smartest thing to do is to watch this, and if you have a fishery with largemouth bass and white perch in it, you should probably be seeing where I'm at and how I'm catching them. Okay, he's still on like a winter bite, and it was like, okay. But there was no fish up shallow, and I'm cruising now. Cruising home, I haven't seen a thing up shallow. I know you're looking at my fro, and I didn't do my makeup for you. These are the new videos. The IDGAF ISV fishing. And you know, I got enough to share, right? I've had 20 years of kayak fishing. Caught some fish. A few flounder over 10 pounds. Striper over 50 inches. Big reds. I don't know. But confidence ain't there, you know. Just try it, because you know you're always running into new situations. So this was my third time out here, and had a few good fish for my standards. And I'm doing convenient fishing too, right? I'm not driving too far. So I'm gonna get back to the launch now. Gotta put the hats back on. Always better to take off layers than not have enough, though. So dry suit. This dry suit's made by NRS. It's kind of a light duty one, I would call it. They have heavier duty ones, and you know, this time of year it goes from flat calm to really rough, and I'm okay for now, but as soon as that wind hit just now, I'm out of here. So, and that seems to be a pretty common theme for me. So maybe I should have fished the docks a little bit. Well, you know, it's not a bad idea. What I could do next time I come out here is I'll fish all the docks here, but it's gonna get rough. 30 minutes, it's gonna be tapping over itself. So next one, I want to do the bowfin too, man. I haven't caught a bowfin over 30 inches. Bowfin. Crappie, I want to do some crappie fishing. White perch, you know, that'll probably get better. I'll probably come back here in another week or two when it warms up just a little bit more. Maybe these fish are going to be moving around. I stuck to one area because I just didn't find a whole lot of fish. So, hey, to me that was fun though. So, all right, let me get back in. Let's see what else we can do. Woo, I'm getting cold quick. Let's get this thing on my face. Man, crazy how quick that changes. EPDL is nice though, it stays dry. What's nice about this, for me, if I'm hot, I'll do the manual, right? Those waves are starting already to get going. If I'm hot, I'll go full electric so I don't generate more heat. If you're cold, you start manually pedaling. So, hey, biggest largemouth in a few years for sure. So, appreciate everyone for watching. Check the video's description links, everything used. We're doing the 4-pound stuff, so can't complain. All right, guys, next video.